Hey everyone, welcome to today's live stream. My name is Warren, and today we are going to be talking about the 7 musical modes. Now, if it's your first time to the channel, I recommend you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can catch whenever these live streams go out. Okay, so here is my little presentation for today. Now, I'm just going to give you a brief background on the 7 musical modes because I'm not like a theory master or expert, so I don't know much about them. I just know that they exist. So I have 2 links here. Obviously, you can click on these. I will leave them in the description below. These are where I get most of my information from. So if you want to do a little bit more research, if you want to go into more depth on these, go ahead and click these links again after the live stream is over. Hey, Aristide. I probably butchered that name, but thanks for being here, my friend. Okay, so here's just a brief little background. There are 7 different unique musical scales, and they apparently originated in ancient Greece. Supposedly, they're named after the different regions that existed at the time. Now, church modes were developed in the 9th century, obviously called church modes because they were developed for church, in church, okay? So they're especially used in Gregorian chant, so if you're into that type of stuff, I think it's pretty cool. Now, the scales are what you call diatonic scales. It's basically, if you think of a C major scale, we'll definitely use this as an example today. Just typically it's 5 whole steps and 2 half steps. Now, what happens with the modes is that they just change the sequence of this. They change the order of the 5 whole steps and half steps. So we are going to be using C, the note C, as a bass note. So whenever I say C Phrygian or C Aeolian, if you transpose it to another key like D, we'll call it D Phrygian, D Aeolian, etc. And these are all examples I got from a huge AP music theory book, and it's from the publisher Barron's. Okay. Now the first 3 scales we're going to look at, they're related to the natural minor scale, and it's a good framework to follow. Now, if we look at the natural minor scale, we'll get into this in a second. It's a C Aeolian. So it's good to think this way because if you look at the other scales, they're basically just alterations. Yes, we have your presentation. Yes, I have the presentation right here. No worries about being late, my friend. Now, the C Phrygian scale. So this is a natural minor, and the alterations I'm talking about here is the second scale degree. We're going to flat it. It's going to go down a half step. Now, you're not going to see this typically in key signatures in whatever you're practicing. So this is just for presentation purposes. So there are 4 flats for C Phrygian. So we have C, D flat, and then these little brackets here indicate the half step. Everything else is a whole step, okay? Have some examples pre-recorded for you here. So let's go ahead and listen to these as well. So that's C Phrygian. Now moving on to C Aeolian, we have the natural minor and no alterations. So this is the original key signature for C minor, whatever you're practicing, okay? And you see the brackets indicating where the half steps are once again. Let's give it a listen. Now moving on to our last in this set, we have the C Dorian. This is going to be a natural minor, and it's going to be a half step above the it's a raised half step for the 6th scale degree, which is A. Yeah, A. So A flat becomes A, and if you look at this little key signature here, we have 2 flats only. Now on to the major mode. So basically thinking of the C major scale and any other alterations. So if we're looking at C I almost said Nickelodeon, Mixolydian. So it's the major scale, but we're going to flat the 7th scale degree, which is B, becomes B flat. Now on to C Ionian is just the major scale. Normal major scale is indicated here, C major. So no flats, no sharps. C Phrygian, natural minor with tonic. I'm just reading your comment here. Going back to Phrygian, let's take a look. Sorry, my internet's a little laggy with this. Natural minor and with tonic and second. Yes, you are correct about that. Okay. Now moving on to where were we? Ionian. We're done with that. Now on to C Lydian. Is a major scale with a raised fourth scale degree. So the F becomes F sharp, and you see here indicated F sharp. Okay, so that is it for the sets of major and minor modes. Moving on to the seventh mode, this one is going to stand alone by itself because it is unlike any major or minor mode. It's a diminished tonic triad, and don't ask me what that means. To be honest, I do not know. All right, so if you're into that stuff, go ahead and look it up in detail. Like I said, I'm not the best at theory, but we're going to explain it here. It's a C Locrian, so it's a natural minor with this flat second and flat fifth. So D becomes D flat, G becomes G flat. And this is a live stream, so don't worry about not being able to see this later, because you can watch this anytime you want. I'm going to keep this on YouTube forever. Now moving on, I'm going to give you a mnemonic again from the book that I referenced. It's a really handy way to keep track of, or to just learn all of the modes. And what's cool about this is you're just going to be using all white keys. Let's go through the mnemonic first. So it's I don't play loud music at lunch. Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian. So if you just start on each white key, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, it's handy because it just has all the alterations are in there automatically. So for instance, we're going from D, we're in the key of D minor, natural minor, only has a B flat. So you see if you just play it from D, that the sharp 6, B flat becomes B. It's just automatically in there. So it's useful to start with C major. And my recommendation is to do this on every single key if you really want to enhance your learning, if you really want to go deep on this. Now, I'm going to give you, so again, if you need this, go ahead and screenshot it. I don't care. Moving on, I'm going to give you some tips on how to actually practice this. So let me go ahead and switch over to the app that I love to use, which is Anki. Now, if you don't know what these are, make sure to check out my video on 4 practice concepts. I'll make sure to I'll put links to all the resources after the live stream is over. But in that video, I'll go really into depth on how to use Anki to automate your practice, basically to learn anything. So here, I created a deck with the modes. Click on the modes. It's just basically flashcards. Click on review. And what's neat is you can input the images in here. So C Phrygian, you're thinking, what is that? Take a guess inside your head, flip it over, was it correct or not? Now what's neat is you can actually grade how good your answers were. So if it was good, you click good. Now if you go here, if C Mixolydian, if you didn't get that, click hard. I'm just gonna put these randomly, say fail, easy, easy, hard, good. Okay, now moving back here, what's neat about this is now you can look at all the cards and you can see which of these modes that you have difficulty with. It's a really handy time saver. So when you're practicing, you shouldn't just go in without any plan. And even if you go in without a plan, if you use Anki, it just pretty much saves your progress for you. So I highly recommend using that. Make sure to check out the video after the live stream is over. Now, in addition to just doing it this way, what you could do, I recommend this as well. So let's say whatever mode you put, let's say Phrygian, okay? Phrygian, all right, here we go. Now here, what you can additionally do is make a recording. This is something I highly suggest. This is not enough to just visually understand it or analyze it inside your head. You should also know what it sounds like. So take it to another level. So you hit the record button and you just record it. It'll save it automatically. So next time you go to this flashcard, instead of seeing the image, it'll play the recording. Really neat, okay? Even crazier because actually, okay, so you might actually put it here. So you might reverse the order. So here you might actually start with the recording. So scratch what I said. Let's start with the recording. So when you play it, you hear it, then you got to guess what it is. Instead of putting the answer here, you put it down here, and so on. Okay, so a really neat way to practice. Now, additionally, yes, we're going to get rid of that. Now, some other ways to practice, and what I do in my daily practice is I transpose a lot of different pieces to different keys because I like to practice in every single key. It enhances my technique as well as my ear training ability. So here you can see I have every single key, and it's all in random order. So it mixes up practice, keeps it nice and interesting. So I don't have to keep track of what key that I played it in. Okay, so some ideas for how to practice with the modes. You can take one mode, and let's say it's Phrygian or whatever. So just stick with one mode, so Phrygian. And you're going to start on every single key and then play it on the piano and then see how you did. Was it good? Was it hard? Etc. Okay. Now, additionally, what you could do is start with every key itself. So F. So let's say like F, and then we'll go F Phrygian all the way through all the modes. So you can stick with one key and go through every single mode. So that's a version of varied practice. You want to vary your practice, do things in different ways instead of just doing things one way all the time. Okay. Now, there's also another app that I use, a second version of Anki. So this is the version of Anki which I just showed you that doesn't use spaced repetition. So spaced repetition is basically the more you do something, the easier it is, the more you can space it out. So let's say you practice on one day or you're trying to memorize this. This is especially useful for memory. Let's say the memory was easy, then you can wait another 2-3 days until you test yourself again. And then you judge, and then you judge yourself, like what, give yourself feedback on how difficult it was. And depending on what your answer is, it'll automatically space it out into the future. So the easier it is, the farther you can space it out, further out, you can space it out into the future. So literally, I don't use this for the modes, but I do this to memorize pieces. And some pieces I literally only have to review once a year, and they're still within my memory. So once again, make sure you check out the video to the other live stream after this one is over, because I go into detail on how to use that software as well. And that is pretty much it for today's video. It's a short one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you learned something, please let me know. And if you want, whatever you want me to cover in the next live stream as well, leave some comments in the description. Not description, in the comments. Leave some comments in the comments. Yeah, leave a comment after the video is over. So hope you guys enjoyed it. If you learned something here today, make sure you hit the like button. If you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. I'll see you guys next time, and happy practicing.